Amanda. I figured, because it's the end of Earth Month, I'd give you a little update about what's going on in our garden here. Some of the stuff that we're doing to try to make our lives a little bit more sustainable.
All right, so starting off right here on the house end of the garden is a new experiment that I'm trying this year. We're actually growing potatoes in this bin. They haven't super sprouted yet. You can kind of see there's one tiny little polyp in there that hasn't really formed any leaves yet, but there are a large number of potatoes planted in there, and I'm really hoping to see if those will do well. The idea being, of course, you fill up the barrel with dirt as the potatoes grow so that you get more potatoes and less plant. Next to the potato bin, over here, we've got the kale planted. Of course, you discovered how to use kale in magical ways last year, and I'm so excited to have some kale this year as well. It's great because it grows year-round, but it's also very cold hardy. So these were planted on April 1st, and they've actually been snowed on, but they're doing completely fine. There are just so many cool things that you've learned how to do with kale. Next to the kale is the spinach. The spinach is also doing pretty good. You'll see here there's some pink strings next to the yellow strings. This means that the crop there has been offset by a week so that we can get additional harvest. So that was spinach offset by a week. Looking down here, there's a little baby lettuce. These are actually butter lettuce, I believe, something that I'm recycling from last year. The seeds actually did really good even though they're a year old. You can see lots of them coming up there. We like the kale and the spinach a lot more, but we still find some use from lettuce from time to time. Next to that, of course, we got the radishes. I'm a big fan of radishes. You're not, but what I really love about them is they are incredibly easy to grow. They love all different kinds of weather, but specifically they do really good in chilly weather, so they're good to grow this early. And you can see here they're doing incredible, even though it's still pretty early on in the year. I've also got one row of them offset next to that. And then next to that is actually the beets. And there's 4 total rows of beets, 2 offset. We're doing a lot of beets this year. We actually really like beets. I love them roasted in the oven. They're so good. And they go with a ton of different dishes. It's awesome. And there's actually a row of carrots there in between that and what we're looking at now, which is the peas. And peas, I actually learned, are pretty good at cold weather as well. So I've got them planted pretty early here. Annoyingly, some birds came and they ate all of the seeds initially, so I had to replant and put those mason jars over them to help them get started before the birds could come and eat. But they're doing good now thanks to that. And here's the trellis that we've set up. My mom actually put on those fake flowers and hummingbird feeders to try to attract hummingbirds to our garden. I haven't had a whole lot of luck with that yet, but we're pretty excited. So looking next to that, we've got the tomato cages actually. And under the tomato cages are planted onions. So one thing we're trying this year is to get the most out of the space of our garden. I'm trying to use some of the space that's not needed till later in the year to plant some stuff that you typically would get earlier, like these onions. And then taking a closer look at the tomato cages, I actually built these out of PVC using a guide online. I'll link it down in the description below. Tried a couple different sizes so they don't all match up, but I'm pretty happy with pretty much all of them. The only downside is that they are a little brittle and some of them cracked over the winter since I don't really have the capability to store them inside, unfortunately. But they're all about 2.5 to 3 feet wide and about 3 feet tall, which I find is about right for a tomato plant that isn't one of the endless growing ones like a beefsteak. This year we're doing super sauce and big boys. All right, next to the tomato cages there, we've got where I'm gonna be planting zucchini. I am a huge fan of zucchini. A lot of people in my family are. Fried up, roasted, throw it in a stir fry, doesn't matter. It's an all around versatile and just prolific vegetable. It just produces all year long. This could be growing up against that barrier that you saw there. So looking in front of that, this is actually temporary. This is a greenhouse I set up. I actually tried to grow our own seedlings this year to make starters. It's not going great. I think the main problem is that I used peat moss cups, and those cups really don't, they really attract a lot of mold if you don't actually control the water, which I didn't do a very good job of. So there's so much mold on the outside of the cups that I think it's spreading to the plants, and as you can see, they're not looking so great. They're pretty wilty, and it's not actually because there's not enough water. In some cases I had too much water. I just think the mold is doing something to them. It's either killing the leaves outright or killing the roots, and the plants, just as you can see here, are not doing so good. But if I can save any, in theory we would have the tomato, the pepper, the zucchini, the cucumber starters all placed here, as well as some herbs and some butternut squash. and some Brussels sprout starters that I was hoping to do. So next to that is actually where the cukes will be placed. I didn't get a great video shot of that, but next to that is the carrots, and there's actually 4 rows of carrots this year, as well as 2 rows of parsnips, which is something that we've been experimenting with. We really enjoyed last year. We had 1 row of them. We ate them all in one night, so I was hoping to get a couple more there. But we really love our carrots. As you can see here, you got a bunch of little ones popping up. The carrot seeds are really tiny, so it's kind of hard to plant them without getting too many in one spot. So as you can see here, I planted way too many in that one single spot, unfortunately. I'll have to thin them out. So next to the carrots, there is the area for the peppers, and I'm planning to do 5 pepper plants this year. Serrano pepper, 3 green peppers, and a banana pepper. All of those I had attempted to make starters for, but I don't think any of them are gonna make it, but we'll see. And then next to that is our annual strawberries. Now these are nice because they come up year after year, and they make a delicious, obviously, early summer and late spring treat. And as you can see, I had to build a fence there. So unfortunately, the bunnies just love to come and destroy all of our strawberries the moment they're ready to eat. And also next to the strawberries is the beans. Then exiting the big stone bed here is a smaller stone bed that I built that houses our raspberry bush, which is another annual plant, which is so nice. And as you can see here, we've got a couple little baby raspberries. The nice thing about raspberry bush is it just grows like a weed. Any raspberry that falls on the ground, that's a seed that's gonna grow in the next spring. So you can dig up these plants, put them in a pot, and give them to friends. They're super hardy. And then back here behind the garage is the first of 2 rain barrels, actually. I set up a second rain barrel this year, and it's definitely paid off as we've had a bit of a dry spring so far. I've actually almost drained both rain barrels just trying to water the seedlings, so I'm hoping for rain soon. Behind that rain barrel is our compost bin. This last year, I only got about half of our garden's worth of compost, maybe a little bit more than half. So I'm hoping to potentially speed that up a little bit more, maybe source a few more kitchen cuttings and produce to throw in there and form into compost. It did rot pretty well. Just looking over here, a couple pots that I've prepared for the Brussels sprouts, should they survive. Otherwise, hopefully we can find some starters. And that tree actually is something that we got from an Earth Day celebration at a baseball game. And we planted in 2017, and I just kind of let it do its own thing. All right, then lastly, over here, we've got the second rain barrel, and that's about it. So what's the main reason for having this big garden operation in our backyard? So one of the main things that's so expensive about buying food from a grocery store is often you can't tell where that food came from. Sometimes the amount of carbon emitted into the atmosphere to get food to a grocery store is more expensive and more carbon than actually just growing the food itself. So if you're buying things that are out of season or can't be grown locally, there is a pretty good chance that the cost to actually get that to you was more than it cost to actually just grow. So of course that means that anything that we grow in our garden has a 0 carbon cost in terms of what it takes to get that food onto our table. Of course, our garden is nowhere near the size and scale it would need to be to provide our family with all of the food it would need. However, one of the things I've tried to do is put such a large variety of things in our garden that we have a large amount of things to choose from and supplement to other food that we're buying otherwise. Of course, one of the most important things while shopping for food as well is making sure you're buying things that are in season, and also looking into alternative ways to obtain your food that would allow you to ensure the food is being grown locally. One of the main things that we do, and we're trying this year, is we're participating in a CSA, or a community supported agriculture. Community supported agriculture is effectively saying, I'm going to purchase a share of food from a farm before the food is even grown. And then throughout the year, the farm will deliver that food to me as it comes into season. The risk there is, of course, that the farm has a rough year, you won't get as much food regardless of the amount of money that you paid up front. But the benefit for the farm is very strong as they get all of their capital up front. So it's a really cool program. I'm really excited. We'll be getting our box in late May, our first box for it. So looking forward to that. Probably right around the time some of our stuff is getting ready to harvest in the garden too, like the radishes and kale. Should be great.
Well, yeah, so there you have it. Honestly, working in the garden is something I really enjoy doing, but even when it's not so fun, the rewards that you get at the end of the year just totally make it totally worth it. I really enjoy the fact that it's a pretty enjoyable way for me to reduce our consumption and provide some fresh, delicious food that we can grow right here in our backyard. It's incredible. And honestly, even though I know gardening's not your favorite thing to do, I really appreciate all the support that you've been providing for our garden. I'm just so excited to see where it goes this year. But that'll be it for me this week. Always look forward to your next letter, and love always, Ryan.